Hi guys, happy Friday. We're up to Millie, chapter 19, so let's see what happens the morning after the Halloweening adventure. She goes over to old Aunt Yetta's house to start reviewing medical properties when the laptop underneath her friend's bed gave a loud beep. Frowning, old Aunt Yetta picked up her cane, made her way to the bedroom, bent down with a grunt, and retrieved the computer. Millie knew that her friend had set up a special alerts and that the computer would beep any time, day or night, that the word Bigfoot was mentioned in conjunction with the terms Standish and upstate New York. And even Etsy. She watched as old Aunt Yetta flipped the machine open, logged on, peered at the screen, and made a horrible choking noise. What happened? What? Millie said. Old Aunt Yetta stared at the screen, no words coming out of her mouth. Bigfoots in Standish was the headlines in the Standish Times website. There was a picture of Alice covered in pine needles and muds next to a picture of cousin Cassandra. The old Aunt Yetta had already found an on the line, only now it was in the local newspaper. Next to the shot was a pen and ink drawing of a yar cringing in a cage, being displayed by Minnie in a fancy suit, who was pointing at her with his cane. And behold, Lucille, a freak of nature. Hold on one second, I have to close my door because my dogs are being very loud. Sorry about that. Anyway, here we are. And the worst of all, there was a photograph of two blurry figures, one human and the other covered in silver gray fur, making their way into the forest. Alice and Millie at the center on Halloween. Old Aunt Yetta was gasping, rocking back and forth with her arms wrapped around herself. Millie poured her a cup of water and leaned close to the screen, where she read about Jeremy Bigelow, a 12-year-old 7th grader in Standish Middle School, who said he had come across many images online, and also he has seen this, and he has extensive history as the rumor around the home there were Bigfoots. He started looking around and near a new controversial alternative boarding school, the Experimental Center for Love and Learning. He started there, which had opened its doors on the shores of Lake Standish in September, had already drawn scrutiny from the Board of Education due to the unorthodox teaching methods. When he went to investigate, he spotted two mysterious figures in the forest. With a trembling finger, Millie pointed at the drawing of Lucille in her cage. Is that as she... Yes, old Aunt Yetta whispered back, a yar from a long, long ago. Millie kept reading. The article went into the history of Bigfoots and Standish, mentioning Milford Carruthers and the unfortunate Lucille. It discussed the Experimental Center for Love and Learning and said that the Lori Moondaughter, one of the school's founders, had declined to be interviewed and refused to confirm or deny whether the pictures on the flyer had been taken at the school. Miss Moondaughter emailed this reporter a statement saying, "We at the center, as intentional educational community, prize difference and celebrate the uniqueness and abilities of all of our learners and all that the learners can bring to the center." Millie felt her stomach lurch, and her breakfast of cinnamon toast, stuffed-boiled eggs, and apple turnovers threatened to reappear as she read the words at the bottom of the story. Readers, if you have any information or citing of your own to report, please contact Jeremy Bigelow at the email address below. The concerned citizens of Standish will hold a rally at the Lake Standish campground tonight at 6 p.m. to exchange information and discuss safety measures. Oh no, old Aunt Yetta was muttering. She just kept muttering, oh no. Millie squeezed her eyes shut and started tugging at the fur of her cheeks. The campground was maybe a mile away from Alice's school and an easy paddle to the Yar encampment if you knew where to go. And the picture, while blurry, was clearly a picture of her, and everyone in the tribe would recognize it. Millie was the only yar of her size and the only one with fur of that color. Old Aunt Yetta grabbed her cane, folded up the top lap, beckoned to Millie, without another word, went limping up the path to find Maximus. Within an hour, everyone in the tribe knew about the article and the planned rally that it was Millie in the company of a no-fur whose picture was in the paper because Millie, disobedient as ever, had gone across the lake. At noon, the yard assembled around the fire pit, Richard had a printout of the webpage in one hand and the speaking stick in the other. "You see," he hissed, almost before Maximus had finished the blessing. "You see, we should have left when they started building that school across the lake. And you," he pointed towards Maximus, "you should have kept a tighty leash on that no-fur-loving daughter of yours. Haven't we said that she'd be our ruination, that her singing and her talk about the no-furs could be our friend, and that they could be our friends?" he asked, and Tulip nodded virtuously. "Didn't we say that she'd come up to no good?" Millie stood between her parents with her head hanging down. On her left, Septima clutched her apron and cried, her tears soaking her fur face. On the right, Maximus stood stone-faced and silent. When Richard paused, Maximus took the speaking stick and pronounced the words that Millie had expected but dreaded. "We will be going as quickly as we can. Pack what you can and assemble underground in an hour." The Yar gasped. Underground was a tunnel, an ancient escape route for the direst of emergencies. It ran underneath the mountain and ridges and led out in the valley in another county about 10 miles away. Old Aunt Yetta looked at the ground. Little Florrie started to cry, and then so did Freddie. Millie slipped free of her mother's grasp and marched her small self to the center of the circle. "This is my doing," she said. Alea nodded, Freddie sniffled, and Richard actually bared his teeth. "I went across the lake and I met a girl, a no-fur girl named Alice. I know that I put us in danger, but I think I'm knowing a way that we can make it right, if you let me talk to her." "Talk to her?" Melissa whispered and started to say louder. "So the no-furs can take more pictures of you, or maybe the no-fur will lead them right to here?" "Alice wouldn't do that," Millie was shouting, and oh, it felt so good to shout, to raise her voice until it echoed from the treetops and not worry about being shushed or punished. "Maybe most of the no-furs are bad, maybe most of them have guns, but not Alice. Alice is a good egg. Alice is my friend." Shocked silence greeted this pronouncement. To call another Yar a good egg was the highest compliment you could pay, and to call a no-fur a friend, the other Yar looked puzzled, or maybe a little bit angry. Poor Leia looked like she was going to faint. "Alice is my friend, and we can be fixing this," Millie said. A plan had started to form in her mind. Not perfect, not yet, but the pieces at least were emerging. "We can be fixing it so they'll never find us. Not now, not for years upon years." For a long moment there was a silence. Finally Maximus said, "We can pack our things, but let Millie try her planning." Over the hisses and mutters of the other Yar, he bent low and whispered to Millie, "A leader keeps her people safe." Millie nodded. Part of her felt proud, but part of her, a much bigger part, was very terrified. She had never seen her father looking so scared, and had never imagined it was possible for Maximus, so big and brave and solid, to ever be afraid. Millie snatched the computer, praying that Alice was carrying her phone, and tapped out a message. 15 minutes later, Alice had written her reply. Millie raced to the lake's edge to wait, and soon Alice, in her kayak, came paddling up to the shore. "Are you sure about this?" Alice whispered as she and Millie dragged the boat up to the woods. Millie tried to smile. "In for a penny, in for a pounding. Besides, we have to try. Come on, I will make the introduction." She grabbed Alice's hands, and together the two of them trotted up to the Yar encampment, with Millie giving the occasional tug to get her wide-eyed friend to stop staring at the gardens, at the sod houses, at the fire pit, at the lookout tree, and keep moving. Melissa was the first Yar to see Alice. She sucked in a shocked breath, lifted her head, and pointed wordlessly, her mouth open in a silent scream, her fingers shaking. Richard yelped and ran off, leaving his terrified wife behind. Tulip just stared, mouth wide open and eyes terrified. "That went well," Alice said. She raised her hand at Freddie, who attempted his own wave back before he too freaked out and ran away. And then they were at Millie's house. Septima was in the kitchen wrapping her best dishes in bits of burlap sacking. Maximus was looking through the narrow window as he was trying to memorize the village he would never see again. Millie cleared her throat. "Mother, Father, this is Alice," she announced, her voice sweet and clear and pure. "This is Alice, my friend." Ooh, so next chapter, which we will read on Monday, is chapter 20, and that's about Alice. So I wonder what's going to happen. Remember, today is just a reading day, so you can just listen to the story and enjoy it. We will get back to work on Monday. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I missed you. And I will talk to you soon. Bye.